My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Game of Thrones Season 4, and this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch this review, because I will be going in depth. Just straight out, this season is a masterpiece. It is one of the finest seasons of television ever produced. It is just perfection. I love it. I loved it the first time I watched it, and I loved it even more this time. There's just so much going on, and all of it is so compelling and interesting and emotional and thrilling and tense, and it subverts expectations in shocking and satisfying ways. And it's just this show at its very best. And I loved everything going on at King's Landing. I loved seeing Jaime back there and how that adds a whole new dynamic with everyone else and how he has to get used to living with only one hand, including some training with Bronn. And I love the scenes between these two characters. I also loved how this season began with Tyrion being forced to break Shay's heart and to send her away because he's married to Sansa and he wants to be loyal. And I love that. And then we see Tyrion just be mistreated by Joffrey, and he's such an insufferable little prick. Just dropping the cup like a bully would do in elementary, and just taking such joy in tormenting Sansa. You just hate Joffrey so much. So when he dies, and it's a horrific death, it's really satisfying. Like, this character deserved at least that level of death, if not way worse. So, yeah, I love the fact Joffrey dies. He is such a despicable, evil piece of shit, and he deserved it. And I love how, despite you want it to happen, how it sets off a chain of events that makes the worst case scenario for Tyrion. And even though you're glad Joffrey died, someone you like is getting blamed for it, and that just makes you a bit more conflicted on it. Like, this season, we just see Tyrion go through the ringer. Like, he's got almost no one left by his side except for Jaime and Podrick, and he sends Podrick away. And I love the moments between him and Jaime, and I know it's later on in the season, but he's just like, talking about, oh, there's nothing you could do that could tick Dad off. You know, not even bang your own sister annoys him. And he's just like, careful, I'm the only friend you've got left. So I just love the whole dynamic between these two characters because you actually see a good loving relationship between them. And you don't get many of that in this show that doesn't have the Starks involved somehow. Then we get this conflict between Margaery and Cersei involving the new king Tommen, and how Margaery's trying to get ahead of herself and get ready to be his wife one day, while Cersei wants to prevent that, and Tywin is kind of pushing him his own way. He doesn't want to repeat the same mistakes he made with Joffrey, so he's trying to guide him. And it's just like this three-person tug-of-war that I thought was really compelling. But anyways, eventually in King's Landing, we do get to Tyrion's trial, and he's just surrounded by these despicable people telling lies and just trying to make Tyrion out to be way worse than he is. Jaime is able to get Tyrion maybe to the Night Watch, but in order to do so, he has to give in to Tywin's demands of him taking over a certain section. And I love how easily Tywin gave in. Like, it was so obvious, just a chess move, and he views his son Tyrion as nothing more than a pawn. Really despicable. But we're going through this trial, and you're enraged, you're infuriated, but then Shay walks in, and you can feel Tyrion's heart break. And just the fact that every word out of her mouth isn't just a lie, it is the most deceitful, despicable kind of lie. And when he just is like, Shay, please don't, it has so much emotional weight behind it. He loved this woman. He only sent her away because of his obligations and because he's an honorable man. It was a difficult thing to do for him, and she just took it in the worst kind of way. And then we get the moment, well, now, I wish to confess, no. I'm guilty of a far more heinous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf. You're not on trial for being a dwarf. I've been on trial for being a dwarf my entire life. And just the way he goes about it here, it is such an incredibly acted moment, and it has so much emotional weight behind it. Like, he's kept this in the entire show, his entire life. And finally, everything he's wanted to say just comes out. I did not kill him. I didn't do it. But I wish I had, because watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores. I wish I was the monster you think I am. It is like an all-timer moment in television. In a world where he has to just keep so much to himself, and he just takes the abuse, takes the humiliation, he just lets all of it go in just this amazing breakdown. And it is so satisfying to see. And when he says, I know I'll get no justice here, so I'll leave it for the gods to decide. I demand a trial by combat. And the way the music picks up there, and Tywin and Tyrion just staring at each other, gives me chills every single time. 10 out of 10, phenomenal, perfect, incredible stuff. But then we see that maybe this trial by combat won't be going as smoothly as the last one, because Bronn won't do it. He's just like, I've got my witches, and I don't know if I can take this guy. It's not worth it. Jaime can't because he's handicapped. And then we've got Oberyn, who enters the picture. And from the very beginning of this season, he's been clear about what he wants. He wants revenge for his sister, and to kill the Mountain, and to kill the Lannisters. And we just get this incredible moment between the two of them. Well, Oberyn is talking about when Tyrion was a kid, and how Cersei was just like, oh, what a monster. He killed my mom. And he's just like, that's not a monster, that's just a child. And you can see how every viewpoint of Tyrion was made up all the way back then. He did every right thing. He's an honorable man. But everyone's decisions were made about him the second he was born, and there was nothing he could do to change their minds. It's a very tragic story. So when Oberyn's like, I'll fight for you, you can actually see Tyrion give like a giant sigh of relief. It is such an incredibly well acted moment. And then we get the fight. And like, the Mountain's a big guy. He just goes through dudes left, right, and center all of this season. But Oberyn is so, what's the word? He's just jumping around, he's filled with energy, and he's able to hold his ground pretty well up until the point where he gets the Mountain down. He does it, and you can see just how surprised and how relieved Jaime is. But Oberyn won't stop talking about his sister, and even though he has a chance to kill the Mountain, he gets a bit too cocky, he gets caught up in his own personal crest, and he gets taken down by the Mountain, and his death isn't just like a stab to the heart. His head just goes pop! And it is such a shocking, brutal moment. This is subverting expectations in a shocking, satisfying way. Because you're just like, oh wow, this isn't going to go Tyrion's way. So what happens now? Truly an incredible episode. And then we get to the end. Well, Jaime does let Tyrion out. And I love how at the very beginning of this season, Jaime's just like, what do you expect me to do? I can't just let you out. And by the end, he actually does get to that point. He does just let him out. You know, Jaime's on a redemptive arc. Not quite there yet regarding Cersei, but he's on his way there. And to see him sacrifice potentially everything to protect his brother, it really does mean a lot. But Tyrion can't just leave like that. No. he wants to approach his father and talk to him and kill him. And he gets up to his father's room and he sees Shay in his bed. And you can just feel the betrayal. The love of his life sleeping with his father who hates him. So when he's forced to kill Shay, it's a heartbreaking moment. He didn't want to do it, but he had to. And then he approaches Tywin while he's taking a shit. And Tywin's trying as hard as he can to manipulate him here and to try to take advantage of the situation, but Tyrion caught him off guard and Tywin dies pooping. It's a humiliating, inappropriate way to go, regarding everything that Tywin has done to him, and you just feel the weight of it all, and it's all so expertly done, and the tragic nature is, once again, Tyrion did everything right. He was the perfect son to Tywin. He is everything Tywin ever wanted in a son. But because of the circumstances he entered the world, he's hated. In Blackwater, he saved the city, he saved the day, but he never received credit. So, everything in King's Landing, perfection. And then we've got to Sansa's story, and you still feel the weight of the red wedding. I love that. And it's nice to see her escape, but we know that since she's going to Elsa, she's going to another disaster. And when we find out Elsa wants Sansa to be with Robin, you're like, ah, shit. He's another Joffrey in the making, clearly. So you're just like, is she safe here? Is this a good thing? Probably not. But also, it's better than being at King's Landing, where she would have been tried alongside Tyrion. So, I guess there's that. And in this story, we also see Littlefinger's relationship with Elsa. And then we also see him kiss Sansa. And just his obsession with Cat and anyone who's related to her is just so disturbing. And it's so gross. And I do also want to point out that it didn't really dawn on me, but I actually watched a video on it, and Elsa would have been the one to kill her husband in season 1. They kind of distract you thinking that it's the Lannisters, but it wasn't. It was so she could be with Littlefinger. I didn't even think about that on my first time watching it, but all the evidence is there, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. That just kind of caught me by surprise, because there's even a couple of lines there, and then I'm just like, wait a second. And then I started to do some digging. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But anyways, the way Littlefinger kills Elsa is absolutely, and I hate using this word because it's so overused these days, but it's savage. Just there's only ever been one woman for me. Your sister. And then he shoves her out the window. So brutal. But anyways, then we get Sansa covering his ass and she lies in the next scene. And I love how you can see that she's gone through hell, but now she's taken charge. And this is such a well-acted moment. And her new look is one of confidence. Then we've got everything with Greyjoy. And once again, this is really terrific stuff. It is just so messed up. It's a tragic story how Theon is now weak. Like even the name, weak. And he's completely submissive to Ramsay. And when Laura hears about this, she wants to save her brother. And when she gets there, he refuses to go. He's too far gone. He doesn't want to escape. There's no hope for him. And then we get Reek pretending to be Theon Greyjoy, and just the whole idea of that is so messed up. And I'll get to the performances later, but credit to Alfie Allen, because he plays Theon Greyjoy, who has been brainwashed to be weak, who is now pretending to be Theon Greyjoy, and you buy each and every single layer of that portrayal. So incredible work. But then Ramsay conquers Ironborn, and he's given the name Bolton, and it just sucks that Jon was never able to own the name Stark, and Ramsay is able to own the name Bolton. The bad guys succeed and get what they want, while the good guys don't, and that's just the way this world works. Then we've got everything with Daenerys Targaryen, which I think is really fantastic. I love how she's freeing slaves and taking over cities, and how she's getting more powerful. And she's built this sense that she's the perfect leader, but she gets legitimately challenged here. There was this one guy whose dad was a slave owner and he was crucified despite him always trying to do the right thing. And there was this one conversation between her and Joel, who he's just like, I was once just like him. And it adds layers to this story that's absolutely necessary. And then the truth of Joel working for the Lannisters getting out, and how that adds emotional weight behind everything. And then on top of that, the fact that the dragons are now acting more like dragons, and they've killed a few animals and a few people, and she has to lock them up. It's surprisingly emotional to watch her chain them up, but it's also the right thing to do. And you can just see that before she was on this righteous path, I am the perfect queen. And now she's getting challenged, and there's just a whole lot more layers to this story and to this character now. So I love all of that. And everything with the Night Watch is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Absolutely love it. I love that when Jon Snow gets back to the Night Watch, he tells the truth about what he did with Ygritte. And we get such great build up to this fight between the Wildlings and the Night Watch. And you do care for Ygritte and Jon, so there's a lot of emotional weight here. And just everything in the second last episode, I think it's called The Watchers on the Wall, is perfect. Incredible action, and I love how the Night Watch just makes so many errors, like they're not these people who've been in 1,000 fights before. No, like they're about to throw a barrel of oil down, but then it leaks and it explodes up there, killing themselves. They make mistakes, and I love that. And I also love Sam's protection of Gilly. It's actually kind of sweet. And then we get this big encounter between Ygritte and Jon. She's about to shoot him, and he just does this little smile, like he's happy to see her. He might die, but he's happy to see her. And then she dies, and you understand why she dies, and it's not a bad thing, but it's just a tragic story, and I was surprised at how emotional I got here. Very effective, really great stuff. But then we get to another excellent story. Like I said, this season is just incredible. We got Arya working with the Hound, and these two make such a great pair. They couldn't be more different, but that's what really works about them. He kind of becomes like a father to her here. And I love the fight in the first episode and how she helps him kill those guys and how she takes Nito back. And I love that one scene later on when he's just like, are you going to kill him? I can't. I don't know his name. I can't put him on my list. And then she asks the guy for his name, and then she's like, thank you. Then she stabs him. Great moment. And then we also get this scene where the Hound actually opens up to her about his relationship with his brother and his dad, and there was layers to this character. And I love the scene when they get to Elsa and they're just like, oh, I give you my condolences. Condolences? Yes, your aunt died 3 days ago. And Arya laughs here, and it is the cutest, greatest, one of the greatest moments of this entire show. Every time I watch it, I just crack up laughing. It's so golden. I also love the fight between the Hound and Brienne, how you're kind of hoping they'll get along here, but you understand Arya's and the Hound's skepticism towards her. And it just results in this great, brutal fight. The way that Brienne bit the Hound's ear off, it kind of reminds me of Abby in The Last of Us 2. I know this came out way beforehand, but that's just where my mind went. But I will say I'm a bit conflicted in how this story ends. And not conflicted as in I didn't love it. No, I love it. But I don't know if Arya left the Hound there to suffer because she did still hate him for what he did to the butcher's boy, or if she just couldn't bring herself to killing him. I want to say it's probably she wanted him to suffer, but I'm not entirely sure on that, and I like that. There's some nuance there, so really excellent stuff. And I must admit, I kind of lied earlier when I said this entire season is perfect, because the Stannis stuff is fine. It's not great. I do love that scene of Davos explaining to that one guy, just Tywin's the guy in charge of King's Landing, and once he's gone, who knows what will happen, and I guess we get to see next season what does happen. And I do love how the standard storyline connects with Jon Snow's at the end. But overall, this stuff is some of the least interesting stuff. And then we get to the Bran stuff, and yeah, Bran just sucks. I guess this stuff is slightly better, but I do like some of the action going on here, and I love the fight with the skeletons. I love that kind of weird horror stuff, but Bran is just a really boring character, and what's it? The one guy who dies, zero emotional weight. So yeah, but I do actually quickly want to go back to Tyrion's and Arya's plot, because the way this season ends is some of my favorite stuff in anything ever. You feel the weight of Tyrion killing Tywin, and then we see Varys getting on the ship, and it just cuts to this waterfall, and the camera pans up as Woman the Draghdi score starts playing, and Arya's riding a horse, and it just feels so magical in some ways, but you also feel the emotional weight of it, and I felt moved by it, and I started getting emotional, and I didn't know why. And then she gets on the boat, and she's looking back, and then she decides to run to the front. She's no longer looking back, she's looking ahead, and the music just picks up, and I got even more emotional. It's just the perfect combination of great visuals, great music, and you just feeling the emotional weight of what the characters have gone through and what has happened. Perfect stuff. It's the stuff that I just love to see. And the cast all does an incredible job. Look, I know I don't mention every single actor. I don't mention Stannis or those people much. I don't mention lots of other supporting characters because there's so many people in this show. I just pick out certain ones, the ones who really stand out. And Bran. So yeah. But anyways, Peter Dinklage, he deserved every award for this season. Incredible performance. Some of the best acting I've ever seen. His delivery is always perfect, and he just showcases a wide range of emotion. And like I said, the courtroom scene and that outburst, absolutely phenomenal. There's so much heartbreak and rage in this character, and he brings it to life perfectly. Then we've got Cyborg Kikili as Shay, and I do think she's good in the short time she's in this season. I will say that I'm kind of conflicted on, did she ever truly love Tyrion? Or was she kind of losing him? Because we see her with Tywin at the end, and I hear the books, he got her to be with Tyrion. So I like the level of nuance there. She does a great job. Jerome Flynn as Bronn is great. Cornelius Hale as Lord Varys is great. Pedro Pascal, I didn't talk about Oberyn too much. I tried to, but he's fantastic here. So much energy, so much personality, and he just commands the screen whenever he's there. So I love that. Really great performance. Then you've got Nicholas Coster-Waldau as Jaime, and I love the redemptive arc that he's on. His lust for Cersei is still incredibly messed up, and that's the one thing holding him back. So I hope he breaks free from that so he can truly fulfill his true potential. And I think he brings this character to life so perfectly. Lena Headey's absolutely fantastic. Charles Dance doesn't get the credit he deserves for this show. He just brings so much weight and gravitas to it. He just commands the screen, and he commands just everyone else around him like the character does so perfectly. Love it. Then you've got Dean Charles Chapman here, who plays Tommen. I didn't realize that was the guy from 1917, but he's much different than Joffrey in a really good way, and I like him. Like, he's in the other seasons, but not all too much. Then we've got Jack Gleason, who's once again fantastic as Joffrey. Nally Domo is great as Marjorie Tyrell. I love that one scene when she's talking to Tommen, and you can see how manipulative she is and all that, so great stuff there. Then you've also got Diane Rigg, who's once again, like Charles Dance, one of the most underrated performances of this show. She brings such a level of gravitas to it that's absolutely needed. Gwendolyn Christie's great. Sophie Turner is incredible this season, some of her best work. Kate Dickie as Elsa is really great. Aidan Gillen is great. Macy Williams is absolutely fantastic. I love this character. I love this performance. I love Roy McCain as a Hound. It's some of his best work. He brings new layers to this character this season, and he's given a lot to work with, and he pulls it all off. Kate Harington is great, and you just see how he does keep his emotions bottled in, and he just does a great job. John Bradley's really good. Rose Leslie is another underrated performance. I think she's great here. How she pretends to hate John and she wants to kill him, but really she's just hiding the pain she feels. Alfie Allen, phenomenal performance. This guy, like I said earlier, brings so many layers to his character. Iwan Rehan as Ramsay is despicable. I saw Joffrey was bad. I hate this guy even more. Such an evil piece of shit. Then you've got Gemma Welland as Laura. She does a great job. I'm curious if she's going to be in the rest of the show. What's going to happen there? Isaac Hampstead plays Bran. Then you've got Art Parkinson. Fine. Ian Glenn as Joel, and I think he's given a lot more to work with. He's great here. And Emilia Clarke is fantastic as Daenerys, and I love the level of depth she brings her character this season. So, all the performances, amazing. 99.9% of the story is just absolute perfection. It's a masterclass in writing. So many great character moments, so much great tension, and it's thrilling when needed. It smartly subverts expectations. There's so much emotion to everything going on. And you've got the big battle with the Night Watch. You've got the character drama with everything going on in King's Landing. You've got the relationship building with everything going on with Arya and the Hound. You've got Sansa taking charge of her life. You've got the tragic, messed up story with Reek and Ramsay. You've got the skeletons adding a nice horror element in the last episode. You've just got it all with this season. Top-notch writing, top-notch directing, and I already mentioned Ramin Djawadi's score, but it needs to be repeated. His very best work is here. It elevates every scene it's present in. There's so many great things about this season. It is top-notch, perfection, love it. I'm going to go ahead and give Game of Thrones Season 4 a 9 out of 10. I must repeat it. I only ever give 10 out of 10 to The Last of Us Part 2, and Arcane League of Legends. This comes so incredibly close, but I believe 10 out of 10 should be such a real rating that it has a lot more weight behind it. But it is so close to it here. So close. You know, when I play Last of Us 2, I talk about it non-stop. I've played it a few times. Same as Arcane, I watched it 7 times in a row the first time I watched it. And I'm not going to do that with this season, and I just can't bring it there. So if you're wondering why I didn't go 4-10, that's why. But amazing, amazing work here. So what did you think of Game of Thrones Season 4? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.